Thank you, Abraham. I love the idea of taking thought beyond. Even that thought gives me all kinds of energy. And recently, I had the opportunity to walk through an exhibit of photographs taken from the Hubble telescope. And as I walked through that exhibit, questions about what is beyond kept coming up for me. Questions about the universe, questions about the infinity of the universe itself. And one in particular was a series of photographs showing how stars are born, how they explode, how they live out their lives, how you can tell by their color and their brightness at what stage they are in their life, and then how they implode, and then how new stars are born again. And I was totally fascinated, totally in awe of this contrast in the universe at its broadest perspective. And then I saw pictures of our sun, and what the sayings around the picture said was that our sun, like other stars, has come through the same process, that it is approximately 5 billion years old, that it's about midway in its life cycle, like other stars in their life cycles, and that it approximately has 5 billion more years to go. And from that broadest perspective, our lives as we come and go and come and go, and our questions, all of that was just expanded to the biggest perspective I've ever had about all of that. And the question that was born for me in that was, where are we going on the leading edge? Where are we as humans, where are we with you going in this universe that is continuing to unfold, where things that exist now won't exist? The solar system won't exist as we know it in 5 billion years. Where does our taking thought beyond go? Where are we going?
Well, the thing we think you will find most interesting out of all that you are asking about here is that as you here in this time-space reality are on this leading edge, even contemplating thoughts like that, you are tapping into broader view, which is long before your acknowledgement of this, creating other scenarios. In other words, this time-space reality is one of infinite number. And we think it is interesting as man stands in his limited view and compares what he is just now beginning to see, is now bold enough to put time limits on what he has just only a few years ago seen for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the only reason that he is able to put any numbers to this at all is as he is comparing only that which he does see.
Right.
So he's looking out into the heavens and seeing the stars that he is assuming are like his sun. And by comparing what he is seeing in the multitude of stars that he is seeing, then he's coming to this equation and then assigning it to the sun. And we say, a little bit too much of a limited view to really give you an accurate reading. Well-meaning, not accurate. But it is worth saying, where will we go when we are not here? And we will say, can you accept the premise that there is always more? Do you accept the premise that you are eternal beings? Do you accept that your bodies are born of this time-space reality and that your source energy floods forth into it? Do you accept that you are extensions of source energy? Do you accept that the source energy could flow to this planet or to another or to any other? Do you accept that the seeds that have made up the physical mass that is you could culminate in any place and that source energy could as easily flow toward? You get a sense of what we are getting at?
Yes.
In other words, there is no ending to that which we are about. We do not think that there is any value whatsoever in trying to contemplate the end of Earth's gardens, because it is so far into your future you cannot even begin to understand it. In other words, billions of years, that's a bit hard to contemplate, isn't it? How old is this nation? A couple of 100 years or so? And so, put that into the relationship of 5 billion. Can you contemplate that?
We as eternal beings are choosing to create deliberately in that unfolding toward...
But when we say to you that you are on the leading edge of thought, and then from this leading edge place you try to contemplate that, where does that take you? What we're wanting you to begin to feel is that creation happens as law of attraction expresses it, that when you, a perceiver, identifies a desire, then you summon unto that desire all that is necessary. In other words, religionists want to say, somebody had an idea, zapped it into the heavens, made it complete, and then brought people to play in it. And we say it is the leading edge thinker, whether it is the one-celled amoeba in the ocean or whether it is the dinosaur, it is the leading edge thinker and what its needs were and what desires were born within it that summoned the energy that has resulted in where you all stand now. You get a sense of this?
Getting it.
And so it is helpful as you contemplate the universe, as you contemplate all of those stars. You say, so all of that has apparently taken form because it is form we can observe through our vibrational interpreters. So there must be some leading edge desirers out there summoning unto that. Isn't that logical? In other words, we promise you nothing bees other than from perspective that summons unto it, because everything's about law of attraction. There is no law of assertion. So what does that tell you about life on other planets? It's got to be there, because for whatever it is that you're seeing to exist, something must be there summoning to it, you see. And you say, well, I can't see it when I look in my telescope. And we say, you don't know what you're looking for. You're looking for other humans. You're not understanding that it's consciousness. You're not understanding that that consciousness that you can't even see is where man began too. Worry not. There are plenty of places to go.
Can I tell you a funny little story what happened to me last Saturday? I had bought a condo a year ago in Toronto by the waterfront, and it was full of furniture, and it was all going to be dispersed. So I looked to see if there was something I would want. And there was just one item that I would want, a glass table, a knoll table, quite elegant. And they said, no, they were going to give it to somebody else. So I thought, fine. And a year went by, and last Saturday I was out biking in my neighborhood where I lived, and I passed a lawn sale. And they said, oh, please buy the last items. We are freezing. We want to get it back in the house. And they pointed to my table on the lawn. And I found out it was not a similar table. It was the very table that had been in my condo. So I bought it for $20, and I was happy.
So what you are saying to us is your identification of something desired, and then the universe arranges circumstances and events, and if you are not in the way of it, it comes easily back into your experience within the reference points that you've established. In other words, everything that you are wanting comes that way. Esther and Jerry, as they move about, often find themselves sitting on some big rock somewhere. Esther's favorite rocks to sit on are in La Jolla, California, near San Diego. So through the years, for many years, as they go there twice a year and they spend time sitting on the rocks, Esther will say to Jerry, I just need that one rock right there. She will say, you get that end and I'll get this end, and we'll just... Now, these are rocks the size of a car. And then she will say, I just need that one rock there and that one over there and that one. Just those 3 rocks and that one. And so through the years, they've had a great amount of fun with that, with Esther picking out rocks everywhere. And so recently they contracted to have a water feature built at the Abraham-Hicks property in Texas. And the drawings showed a lovely winding stream coming from some headwaters that would be built up, because this was a very flat place that this was all to be put. And then at the lower end of the stream is a lovely pond with a rock wall. And as Esther looked at the drawing, she could not really imagine it. And even as she looked at the clay model, it looked like a simple little stream wandering and coming to a pond at the end. And they signed the contract and then were gone during the beginning of the construction of it. And when they returned to Texas, they found truckloads of gigantic rocks had been brought to the site. And Jerry began to laugh. He said to Esther, it seems that every rock you pointed out has been brought here. And of course, Esther, like you, she was not doing virtual realities about the rocks. She was not trying to figure out how to get them there. It was just something that she has been enjoying and been playful about, and let the universe know again and again and again and again in a place of non-resistance that she appreciated and adored. You see? It's a wonderful thing how all things that you want always come to you. You barely have to pose a question before the answer comes. And all things are that way.
Well, it took me a year, though. So but I'm learning. Thank you very much.
Since there is no ending to that which you are, what is the big rush? And we also think that you all could get so carried away. In other words, we would be holding demanifestation seminars. You would be saying, Abraham, all I did was enjoy that table and someone delivered it to my door. I took a drive and I admired cars and now they're all in my driveway. It's better this way.
I have no complaints. Thank you very much.
Yes. We have taken thought beyond that which it has been before here today. And you know what to do now, don't you? Be playful. Be virtual. Be a selective sifter as you are looking in your reality. Know that your inner being adores you and reach for evidence of that. Practice your book of positive aspects. Look for reasons to praise. Talk as much as you can physically express as long as you feel good while you're doing it. And when you're not feeling so good, do your very best to not speak at all. There is great love here for you. We are complete.